think that they're...
You know what? The thing that you're ignoring, though, Ryan, is that you should believe all women.
Oh,
and Brenda
that's true.
Snipes is a woman.
That's true. If anything, I learned from the Brett Kavanaugh situation.
I'm just kidding.
All women are to be believed, especially, you know. Oh my gosh.
She's barely a woman.
She's right.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I didn't say that.
That's why you're here,
Right,
Natalie. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, Tim.
Want some cocaine?
No, I can't have any.
You were supposed to say, I thought you'd never ask.
I would normally, but I have to be a safe person right now.
Okay, well, good. I don't have any cocaine to give you anyway, so that's a good thing.
Well, darn. Now I'm hyped up.
And
Just
now
kidding.
I'm hyped up.
I'm just kidding. Oh, just kidding, people.
This is Undoctrinated.
Welcome. If it's
Minus
your first
TJ.
time, welcome back. If it's your millionth time.
Surprise,
second time.
surprise. Another episode without TJ.
Oh, yeah. He's missing again. So if you've seen him, tweet at Undoctrinated1 on Twitter, please.
Yeah, but fear not. We've got a great episode for you today.
Oh, we've got something special for you. Something's
said
echoing in
when we're-
here.
When we were done recording this, I said right away, this is our best episode.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a great episode. We have a guest speaker, Ryan. It's Tim's friend.
Yep.
He's,
And he wanted to come on and talk about politics today.
Yeah.
And we did just that.
Oh, we did. We got talking about the election fraud that's going on down in Florida. Florida.
Allegations of election fraud.
It's election
Just-
fraud. And then it's every state, but they're just checking Florida right now. But yeah, that, we talk about guns. Dun,
We
dun,
do talk about
dun.
guns, and we talk about DUI
DUIs.
laws.
Yeah, DUI and DUI laws.
Yeah.
Got another DUI episode for you guys in the future, too.
Coming down. It's in the
But-
can.
That one will be coming down the chute.
It's actually not in the can yet, but it's in my brain.
It's in the works. It's an experience.
It needs several $1,000s of production to get it produced for you, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's coming.
Yeah, it is coming.
Anyway,
We're going to go live again sometime soon. Not again, because it didn't work that one time, but we're going to try and go soon. Not this episode, but soon. Just letting you guys know.
shit. I think my mic got turned up. I'm gonna do a brief sound check here while we do an intro, just to see.
Check. I'm definitely echoing like crazy. I don't know why, but I just hear my voice really loud when I'm talking.
You sound good. I think it's my mic. No, looks like it's
Something
mic
is like-
too.
The speakers on the computer is what I think it is turned up.
Oh, I forgot
That's
to
all.
fucking switch this stupid input. That's why. That's not gonna come through on the recording though.
Oh, good.
Anyway, we're way off track here. Let's get
Sorry,
into the
people.
fucking
Yeah. So, yeah,
episode.
let's get into it. We hope you guys enjoy the
Ladies
episode
and
we have for you
gentlemen,
today.
This is Undoctrinated.
Yes,
Episode
Undoctrinated.
God knows what at this point.
9. It's 9 for sure, I think.
Okay, Natalie's got apparently.
Yeah, 9.
This is Undoctrinated with my good friend Ryan.
Real good friend.
We
yeah.
almost tried to debate, but we just couldn't because we
They're too good of
agreed
friends.
much.
They just agreed too much. Yeah, they
And
know each
when
other
we
long time.
disagreed, we were just like seeing eye to eye and trying to go in each other's shoes. I think.
Yeah.
But it's good. We
It's
really
great.
we went deep on this one, and I think this episode really has the potential to undoctrinate some people.
I think so
What
too.
do you think?
I hope so.
Yeah,
It's my wish.
fuck it. Let's find out.
Enjoy, people.
Here from the King's Mountain view, here from a wild dream come true. Feast like I seldom I do, on treasures and flesh never few. But I would wish it all away. If I thought I'd lose you just one day.
Oh, there. It's going now. Yeah, just X that out. Okay, cool. Let me pull up the article here. Actually, I'm being picked up twice. Oh, no, that's the master. Never mind. Okay, sweet. Say something into the mic, babe.
Hello.
All right, Ryan, say hi.
Hey.
All right, cool. Thank you. Let me pick up the article here. No pressure, no pressure.
I know. This is the most nervous I've been in.
Okay, this is going to be about the Broward
I don't even
County
remember what I said
election
last
in Florida.
week, so-
This was the Senate race, right?
This is governor, I believe.
governor?
Rick Scott, I think, in Gilliam.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
I think it's gonna bleed over into multiple races though that they had going on.
Yeah. The article I found was from earlier today at 11:20 from the Miami Herald. It says state elections observers have seen no evidence of criminal activity in Broward County by Sarah Blasky and David Smiley. November 10th, 2018, 11:20 a.m. State election monitors stationed in Broward County have seen no evidence of criminal activity in the administration of Tuesday's election. A Florida Division of Election staffer told the Miami Herald early Saturday. The information, presented just hours before Secretary of State Ken Detzner ordered statewide recounts in 3 political races, contradicts allegations of fraud in the Broward Elections Office made by Governor Rick Scott's attorneys Thursday, and echoed by Republican protesters who descended on the headquarters of the Broward Elections Office Friday. Our staff has seen no evidence of criminal activity at this time, Sarah Ravel, spokesperson for the State Department of Elections, told the Herald Saturday morning. 2 DOE staffers have been stationed in Broward County since at least November 6 to oversee the administration of the elections, visit polling stations, and ensure that all laws are followed. Florida's Secretary of State announced its plan for increased oversight in May after a court ruled Broward Supervisor of Elections Brenda Snipes broke the law when she authorized the premature destruction of ballots in a contested race following the 2016 elections. Ravel said DOE staff have remained in Broward County since Election Day and will continue to oversee the process until the certification of the results. She did not provide any specific information from the state elections monitors other than to deny they had any information to back up Scott's claims of criminal behavior, including allegations that Broward election officials may be fabricating votes in an effort to overturn his narrowing lead in the race against Democratic Bill Nelson for a Senate seat.
Man.
Ravel said the monitors had filed no reports since the start of Election Day. Scott's campaign provided no evidence to back up its claim of fraud in Broward and Palm Beach counties and did not immediately respond to the Herald's request for comment. Scott has not been briefed on any of the DOE monitor's findings from Broward County, according to the governor's spokesperson, McKinley Lewis. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement announced Friday it had received no reports of illegal activity in Broward, nor had Scott formally requested an investigation into voter fraud. Scott publicly asked for an investigation during a Thursday evening press conference outside the governor's mansion and claimed that liberals in Broward and Palm Beach counties were trying to steal the elections as late developing returns shrunk the margins in races for U.S. Senate, governor, and commissioner of agriculture. He then went on Fox News and reiterated his claims. We don't know how many more votes they're going to come up with, but it sure appears they're going to keep finding as many votes as it takes to try to win this election, he said. The lack of official evidence hasn't stopped Scott's claims of fraud from catching on. Protesters gathered outside the headquarters of Broward Elections Supervisor's office in Lauderhill Friday and Saturday, carrying signs accusing Snipes of trying to steal the elections and chanting "Lock her up." Congressman Matt Gaetz tweeted out videos of police telling him to leave an area outside Snipes' office where storage trucks had lined up Friday night. Bad things have gone on in Broward County, President Donald Trump told the White House press corps. Really bad things. Trump also suggested Snipes may have tried to steal his presidential election in 2016 without providing any evidence. While there's been no evidence of criminal behavior in Broward County, there have been plenty of problems. Democrats have voiced their own concerns about Broward's elections over a growing number of complaints from out-of-state voters who never received their absentee ballots. Some have accused Snipes' office of voter disenfranchisement for its apparent failure to get ballots to voters who wanted them. Tim Canova, the defeated independent congressional candidate whose lawsuit led Scott's administration to send monitors in the first place, has repeatedly accused Snipes' office of illegal behavior. In two separate precincts, election boxes were left behind, although Snipes' staff says neither, including one report Saturday to the Broward Sheriff's Office, held ballots. Mistrust from both right and left is underwritten by a history of embarrassing blunders that have dogged the embattled supervisor of elections in recent years. And Snipes' office was roundly criticized this week as she was unable to explain how many ballots remained left to be counted once it became clear that she was still tallying thousands of votes. A circuit judge ruled Friday that Snipes violated Florida's open records laws after failing to fulfill a request for information by the Scott campaign. Snipes was ordered by a judge to release an initial tally of votes counted, broken down by absentee, early, and day of voting, and provide information on how many ballots had yet to be counted. Snipes announced that as of Friday, Broward still has 2,100 more absentee ballots to process. Her office complied with the statewide deadline to transmit unofficial results by Saturday at noon. On Friday, Snipes also said that more than a dozen rejected ballots were accidentally mixed with over 200 valid ones, creating an irreconcilable situation where either good votes will be thrown out or bad votes counted. The ballots cannot be identified, Snipes confirmed. On Saturday, she requested that the entire batch of ballots be counted, and they were included in the final tally sent to the state divisions of elections. It seems unfair to disenfranchise 205 voters at the expense of a small number, Snipes said, adding that the number of invalid votes would be too small to sway any of the races hanging in the balance. Elections monitors from Scott's office remain in Broward, overseeing the process. Our top priority is a fair and accurate election, said Revelle in a statement. We will continue to work with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the appropriate jurisdictions to report any suspected elections frauds or criminal activity. And then that's the end of that article. Found another article earlier today that kind of lists some of the things that have kind of the black clouds, if you will, that hung over Brenda Snipes' office. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I'll go into the detail or I'll go into what it has printed on
I
those.
wonder how many other places this happens at.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'm curious what they're defining that they're not seeing any kind of like illegal play here, because we know that she was there's talks of her being held in contempt for not going with what the court told her that she had to do.
Yeah.
So it kind of, well, go ahead and read your article.
Yeah. Let's read just this. This is real brief. Says some of the previous glitches that have occurred during Snipes' tenure as supervisor of elections. A court ruled Snipes had broken election law when she destroyed ballots from the 2016 election 12 months after it, instead of the 22 months required by federal law, the Sun Sentinel reported. Election results in the 2016 primary were posted on the election office's website before the polls closed, the newspaper reported. In 2012, nearly 1,000 uncounted ballots were discovered a week after the election, according to the Sun Sentinel. And in 2004, approximately 58,000 mail-in ballots were not delivered to voters, the newspaper reported. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if there's any other allegations maybe against her, but it seems like, this is, well, I'll get to my grand opinion on the whole thing in a minute, but I wanted to ask you, with this announcement, at least, that there hasn't been any criminal charges found, to me it's kind of like there's no criminal charges or criminal activities suspected yet.
Exactly.
And then I wanted to ask you specifically, what do you think the deal was when the lawyers were trying to get access last night and they were being blocked from the premises while they were like loading stuff into vans, apparently? Boxes, I guess.
So the way that article read, and this kind of what I've been picking up in the media with it too, is they're not the only ones kind of saying it, is so you're kind of left with really two options. You're left with either they're incredibly incompetent or there's foul play. There's something going on. So now you have to go, okay, well,
It's the latter. It's the foul play.
I believe it's the foul play.
Serious. Like,
I mean, it's
sure.
just really convenient that, on election night, it was a pretty huge lead. And then all of a sudden they started finding all these ballots that were helping the Democrats out little by little, closing up that gap. I mean, the gap is pretty much gone now. So when we look at it, they might be saying, yeah, right now we don't see anything that we're investigating. We're not seeing any kind of problem. But to me, that's a huge red flag. Why weren't you complying with the federal law to begin with? Why are we... This isn't your first incident of trying to do these kinds of things or having issues.
Why is she still even around doing this?
Bingo.
Yeah.
You have to ask, why is she even in charge of this? We had such a huge issue with it in 2016. And then to top it all off, now you have people that were allowed to come in and see you and investigate what you're doing, and you're blocking them off. You're saying, no, you can't come in here. And right now I just read a report that's saying that she's not talking to conservative reporters. So now I'm really concerned. Now, granted, I guess you gotta say we have to wait till evidence comes out, but when the evidence is so overwhelming, and when we look at it and say, okay, so you're either telling us you're so incompetent at your job that you let thousands of votes just happen to disappear and now they're there and that's real convenient, or there is something going on, and then I want to know why they're reporting that nothing is going on.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with just the little bit of facts that have come out, to me, that should spark a full-on investigation, and we really need to get to the bottom. Because, like you said, you have, I think you said it was about 200 or 200 votes that were saying disenfranchised because they weren't even counted.
There was some
mix.
rejected votes,
Yes.
or rejected ballots mixed in with some good ones.
Bingo.
A stack
Yeah.
of 200 good ones, I guess.
I mean, that's... Is it just me, or is that
Suspicious.
insane?
To
Yeah.
say the least.
I mean, I always agree. I always go with innocent till proven guilty, but the circumstantial evidence in this is so overwhelming that you have to sit there and go, okay, are you really that incompetent? Is your group that bad? I mean, you had all eyes on you.
I don't think it's a coincidence. Like, I don't think that they're...
You know
I
what?
agree.
The thing that you're ignoring, though, Ryan, is that you should believe all women.
Oh,
and Brenda
that's true.
Snipes is a woman.
That's true. If anything, I learned from the Brett
Barely.
Kavanaugh situation.
I'm just kidding.
All women are to be believed, especially, Oh my gosh.
Barely a woman.
She's right.
just kidding.
Hey,
But
I didn't say that.
That's why you're here,
Right, I'm
Natalie.
just kidding.
That's why. Yeah, we need a
We need
woman's
that
voice.
female voice
Yeah.
to really dig in.
Dig in, yeah.
It's like the black guy on Fox News.
Yeah, you have to have one. But yeah, it's really suspicious. You would think that
Definitely.
given the history, 2016, with massive issues coming out, and we know Florida's always in the news for elections, but to know that all eyes are on you, especially for such a pivotal moment where Democrats are trying to take back the House, trying to take back the Senate, you would think that you would have all your ducks in order.
Yeah.
And then the simple things that you do mess up, or the times you actually honestly mess up, I'm kind of like, okay, you know what? Doors are open. Please come in, because I want to show you guys I'm not doing something wrong, especially on such a
Yeah.
major election. Like, it's clear that thousands of votes are now being swayed one way or the other in whatever the situation that they picked these boxes up. They found boxes in cars. Like, I don't even think they were in official cars. They were just people's,
Wow.
normal cars.
Has anybody heard from Brenda Snipes as far as what she's saying about the lawyers being blocked entrance after the judge ordered?
There's obviously something to hide. Why would they do that? They should just be like, all right, there's nothing to hide. Come on in. Like,
Sure, that you'd think. I don't know.
On something on such a large scale, I don't think what I picked up on the article that I read was they were just basically chalking it up to an accident, and that she's not really trying to talk to people. And to be honest, if I was in her shoes, I think that'd be the smart thing to do, is
yeah, her lawyers are probably like, just be quiet.
just
don't
be
talk to
quiet, shut
nobody.
up, don't, yeah. And personally, that's what I would do. But I mean, she realistically, she has so much to answer for right now that I would welcome. I would say, you know what, you send your Republican lawyers, you send your Democratic lawyers, let's get to the bottom of this, so that way I can show you guys nothing was going on.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, personally, it's not even just that, but she's looking at, if there is tampering there, there's some serious charges that can go against her. I wouldn't say treason per se, because I'm sure that's not really there. But when you're trying to sway the government, the U.S. government, in a way that is dangerous and effective, and going against all our laws, all our things,
You're undermining the democratic process.
Bingo.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, realistically, a good example. Many years ago, my mom was in a really severe accident. The other person didn't make it. And
gosh.
what my mom wanted to do, she wasn't at fault for anything, but she right there told the police, she's like, I want to be drug tested. I want to be tested for alcohol. I want to be tested for drugs, because
Something like that happened to my mom. She hit a man and he died on impact.
yeah, it happens.
She was
It's
freaked out but yeah.
yeah, it's super unfortunate,
Yeah.
but she wanted to do it to show, hey, I'm not on
Yeah.
anything. There's nothing here. There's nothing.
Yep.
And, I don't always agree with doing that, but in this kind of situation, I think she should have opened up, and that really screams suspicion to me.
Yeah.
And it's not coincidental that this isn't the first time she's had run with the law, and that she's disobeying courts right now. She was in contempt, really, and that's what I think they're going to push for right now, is she is in contempt for not opening up.
Yeah.
So,
The government does tend to protect their own, so I don't see her, facing any criminal charges or anything like that. But this should definitely lead to her stepping down in one way or the other, because, like you said, you can't really have suspicion hanging around your head in this type of position as a supervisor of elections.
I think they need to do an investigation in
much-
Florida
much
and
the same-
all over the United
much
States.
the same as much as I hate to say it, some of the suspicion around Kavanaugh's confirmation almost disqualifies him. But to me, I don't like him as a pick just because of some of the issues, the side of certain issues he's been on. But the allegations of rape aside, I don't think he was right for the Supreme Court. But there's also a lot worse you could do than Kavanaugh, in my opinion.
Kavanaugh comes across to me as a very constitutionalist, someone that is letter to the Constitution, which it really depends on what your take is on the Constitution. Is it a living document that's good for us as America to continue to keep on? Because it sounds like a lot of the younger generations think it's outdated and don't want it. But a lot of people don't understand is the Constitution is not there to protect the government, it's protect us from the government. So with Kavanaugh, I believe he's more of a constitutionalist. So when it comes to things like right to bear arms, freedom of speech, you're going to see a much more I guess you could say organic, literal. Yeah. Look at the, but
What about the Fourth Amendment? Because he was in favor of the Patriot Act and some of the government spying issues that we've seen.
well, okay, so with Patriot Act, that's a tough one because the whole idea with the Patriot, I don't know.
I'm not trying to put you to task.
No.
That's one thing, and I don't know a whole
No,
lot about Kavanaugh, to tell you the truth. But that's one of my biggest beefs with him is that he's supportive of that.
Well,
Some
so-
people are torn on it.
yeah, it's
Oh, I get that,
Yeah.
what's
which is fine.
yeah. Well, with the whole Kavanaugh thing, what we didn't really get to hear his position on a lot of his views. I mean, we have his court cases, we have his stuff, but I would much have rathered in these interviews that they're asking him to actually get down to, hey, so in this circumstance, you voted this way, or you ruled in this way. How do you feel about this on a grand scale? Because what happened is the media just saturated with the whole Ford thing, the whole allegations thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't really get to hear what his perspective is. So all I can do is go off of what I've read and understood about him, which is, like I said, he seems like he's a constitutionalist. Yeah. But, I mean, that's a tough call.
Yeah, and you won't get me saying passionately either way anything definite about him because, like I said, I was skeptical about the appointment because of the Fourth Amendment issues that I've had with him. And you did mention that he's a constitutionalist, which is fair enough,
Yeah.
and I won't even disagree with you on that necessarily.
Well, and two, I don't know, realistically, Supreme Courts are kind of, appointees are kind of tough because, it's not something we vote on. It's something that our elected officials vote for. Yeah. And if the other side is for it or against it and they have the votes, it doesn't really matter who it is. You could have.
Just to be clear, when there's a Supreme Court seat open, it's basically the ball's in the president's court to start that appointment, right?
Correct.
He's the sole, or maybe she one day, is the sole person that can nominate an official.
Correct. So he nominates them.
And then the Senate and the House vote on it?
The Senate does. The Senate confirms. So whenever, that's why it was so important. That's why they pushed to have his confirmation before the election. Liberals, Democrats didn't want it. They wanted to wait.
Yeah, they would. They probably wouldn't have,
It's an
allowed it.
Tactic.
Yeah, because
Type of thing.
Exactly, because they were thinking they were going to retake the Senate. So had they retake the Senate, then they could have pushed longer,
been more influential in that whole process.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And so that's why they were pushing to. Trump wanted it to get done, and realistically, reading into that case, reading into everything that Ford was saying, everything. I mean, one of the witnesses came out and said that she lied, that she flat out lied. And
you would think if there was a bunch of people being gang raped all the time, that a lot of people would remember that.
Something.
I would.
30 years, I mean.
And the reports was that she noticed the gang rapes like
multiple times. I hear, and
or the gang rapes occurred, and she continued to go back to these gang rape parties for. I don't know.
You would think if it's a
I
whole
forget what the
party and
number
there's
is. She
a house
attended them
party,
like 15 times, and the gang rapes happened on the 10th time or something.
Yeah, it's the whole story is just. I got lit up pretty bad on Facebook because I said I didn't believe her, which I know is taboo.
I'm sorry, but I think it was fabricated.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not. I'm a girl. I'm a woman.
The safe bet is to say you believe.
I mean, I don't know.
Something happened.
Yeah,
to her,
but
right?
maybe
I know that's the safe wording.
Maybe. I mean, maybe something did happen to her. But
she's a victim, but
doesn't.
Kavanaugh is too in this case.
I know, right?
You would think there'd be a lot more witnesses with the things that they were saying. That's all. Especially at a house party.
A lot more credible witnesses.
There you go.
Right?
So,
because all the witnesses have kind of been found to be not so credible.
Bingo. Not only so she listed, I believe it was 4 people. Now, out of those 4, so one person also said that she was raped. That one came out as a lie. They might even be prosecuting that. I'm not sure.
If they are lying, they should get in trouble, I think.
I agree. Sure. I totally agree. With that, the other 2 said that they had basically no idea what she was talking about. And it really kind of left her word versus Kavanaugh, and I think there was one more witness, And that's the one that came forward and said that she changed her story out of pressure from Ford's camp. And so, with that said, even with just that, so you don't have, so 30 years ago, we'll say that they don't remember, much. But even when they were asking Ford about questions about during her lie detector test, they said, who paid for it? Did you pay for it or did your attorney? Oh, I don't remember. Well, how do you not remember 3 days ago, 4 days ago, a week ago? Like, I get 30 years, maybe a little hazy. I don't think I would forget. And, any women that are listening, we're not apologists for rape. I mean, I'll tell you right now, like, if someone gets caught raping, prosecute them to the max. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Right. And so no one's okay with that, but or anything for that matter. But that said,
it's an awful thing.
These allegations had holes from them from the beginning, and even in her own words, everything seemed to be lost. So I'm not really 100% sure why they had to investigate him. I think it was 7 times.
Yeah.
But there seemed to be not a whole lot there, and
I mean,
far be it for me to put myself in so it's easy for me to say if you're a victim of rape, you need to go to the authorities immediately. That's the right thing to do, which I truly believe it is.
Or they're too, ashamed or whatever,
you're kind of
still
at that point. You kind of have to.
It's something you remember. I would
just
think.
do what you have to do to go to the authorities and make sure a crime like that is never committed again by the
you could save
by the
other
person
people.
who raped you.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on the whole thing. I'm not saying that I'm right because I'm not a rape victim, so I don't know what the thought process is there. But my one beef with Ford specifically is that she didn't come forward before he was making his support for the Patriot Act and all these other
why
things.
Not
I disagree
such a long
with him
time ago come out? Like,
I mean,
why wait till now?
and hopefully, if the story is true, that Kavanaugh hasn't raped since, but that's always a possibility when you don't come forward and
For 30
no
years, he could be raped for 30 years.
What's even funnier, well, not funnier, but I want to say with Ford specifically, it wasn't even rape. I think it was like groping. And
it was a sexual assault.
A sexual assault.
Yeah, that could have totally happened because a lot of people, it happens all the time.
To go even further, they reached out to, I believe, the sheriff of that county, and he said during the time frame, I'm sure it's changed a little bit now, but during the time, because that's when the law would have been in effect, that it was just I want to say a misdemeanor or a citation.
Yeah.
That only had like a 1-year statute of limitations. So 29 years have passed by, or 30 some odd years have passed by since the statute of limitations even ended.
Yeah.
So I mean,
even if there was groping, like just based off those words alone, I say he's not disqualified from being a Supreme Court judge.
I mean, like high school or college,
being a drunk
even women
guy
are groping
in
guys
his
in college.
early 20s or late teens, and you grope somebody in college inappropriately, even. I would say,
like, grab their butt.
Yeah, can we just throw on the record? Men are dumb when we're young, and we do stupid things.
I know it happens, but even females too. I've done some shit. I'm a female.
With that said, it could disqualify him, depending on the circumstances, like the specific details of the situation.
There's a huge difference between groping and a gangbang. Okay,
I think
huge
just
difference.
saying, like,
yeah, and I don't know, and I didn't listen to much of the hearing at all, so I don't even really. I didn't get into Ford's testimony or Kavanaugh's testimony much.
Kavanaugh, I think, said that he even had his planner that still had the dates in it. He sounds very organized, but like
how convenient.
Yeah, I know, right? I know that was true stories. There is the such thing that having too much evidence starts to make you wonder.
Yeah.
So
and I've got pictures here.
And I got pictures. Look,
not raping.
But it happened
and a signed letter saying I didn't grope her. See,
it was probably like his best summer of his life in
Donald
college.
Trump, the president.
Keepsake. He probably had like his letter. What is it called? The letter jacket. What is it? Letterman?
Oh, Letterman?
Yeah, he probably had it in like a box. Yeah, or no, and maybe, I don't know.
This was from college, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was college,
probably not then, but I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
You're on the right track, though.
Yeah,
he was basically a drunk jock at the time.
Yeah, and I mean, what guy in college
calendar.
is it? And to be honest, and it's, I don't know. Again, if the situation's real, if it did happen, then it also, I guess, depends on the, like you said, and it's hard to put yourself in the position of a victim of something like that.
Sure.
And,
unless you are.
Yeah. And
Natalie, would you care to address that?
Wait,
Just
say it
kidding.
one more time. Wait, what? Oh, I've never been raped.
Oh, there
you go.
So I don't know. Yeah, no.
Not yet.
We
wait,
need
wait
to-
30
Yeah.
years down the road, Jim.
Wait 30 minutes.
You just raped me with that question, okay?
Oh, yeah. By today's standards,
kidding.
we've all been raped.
I know. Right? Oh my gosh, for
Raping
real.
each other here. Okay.
This-
No, but yeah, it's
the college culture is getting so bad with it. But
Yeah.
you know, yeah. And what's funny is because I'm usually kind of labeled as conservative in my views. Is,
I label you as conservative.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know,
I kind of label myself as in conservative in the traditional sense because I'm for
Traditional.
much less government.
Yes.
You know, to the
agree.
fact
Oh,
where
I
in
hate
fact,
them.
I describe my political beliefs as leaning anarchy.
And you know what? That's the most extreme version of conservatism is
Right.
is
Yeah.
anarchy, and because we don't want government, we
No.
don't think we think the
I
individuals.
don't think we need them.
I agree. Other than maybe when dealing with like military and stuff, that's a little bit different. But outside of
Yeah,
that, you
and
know,
then you start to get into neoconservative.
there you go.
Which
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah, it's a totally different
Yeah.
situation. But yeah, classically conservative, we think that the individual has the better knowledge of how to take care of themselves
Yeah.
and are more responsible for taking care of themselves.
Volunteerism, individualism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, yeah,
If there's a government, they should just be there to suggest things, not lock us
You
up.
know,
for things.
and that's a
We have too
debate
many
I
laws.
constantly go round and round in my head with is like what specifically should government be around for? And I know for a fact that the best form of government would be a extremely localized version of it. You know,
absolutely. We being here in California, we're a great example of what happens when you're 600 miles north of you, you know, and we live in Southern California, and we're dealing with situations with our schools not being underfunded. They started killing the buses, I think, out here now in Elsinore.
What?
Yes, because they needed to save, I forgot how many thousands of dollars it was
Oh,
saving,
wow.
but they killed, as far as I know, I think it's for 20.
Like the yellow
And-
bus,
and-
like the
Yeah.
bus that.
and you bring
oh
up
my
you bring up
gosh.
schools. I just said I lean anarchy. I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh, yeah,
I want
Tim
the
hates public
government to be
school.
out of education
agree.
entirely.
I agree. You know, I actually side with is it Betsy DeVos, where I think you should be able to pick which schools you go to. For instance,
Definitely, yeah.
even regardless of if you have children or not, I mean, you guys are paying taxes for those schools. So if I'm paying taxes for those schools and I'm sending my son to a school system that's ranked like 47th in the nation,
Right.
yeah, I kind of would like that money back so I can send him to a different school. You know,
Absolutely.
Seriously,
If-
yeah. You
yeah.
should be like, okay, well, you live here. You get you pick between this and this. That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you don't like
if
it.
you don't
tough
like your
shit.
school, you
Like,
should be able to withdraw. Or if you don't like your children's school,
Yeah.
you should be able to take them out and give your money to somebody else who can educate them.
educate
better.
them the way you
Exactly.
want. And you know, I think a lot of people are against that because they say, "Oh, it takes money out of public schools." No, what's taking money out of public schools is politicians, is
Yeah.
really horrible laws.
Administrators.
Yes.
Oh man, let me tell you. And so if we could get that's going right back to giving more power to the people. You get to decide where you want to take your kids to school. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it wasn't really something that I don't think really affected me too much, and I really didn't give much thought about it, and I don't think a lot of people do per se, other than I agree that government needs to start backing off in a lot of areas. But when I had my kids, I was like, you know what? Our school system in California used to be pretty decent, and it's
going down
it's
the
gone
toilet.
so bad.
bad, yeah.
And-
a good friend of mine has a kid in elementary school, and it's not good. So
Yeah,
we're
and
going through hoops just to try to get him in another school district, having to like go. It's all crazy, yeah.
it is crazy.
And that school district isn't even that great. So
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's supposed to be better.
We have some good schools down here, but we're at locally. Like once you start going towards, you have like Paris School District. You have a bunch of school districts out here that are, you know, they try what they do what they can, and they try. And I do give credit to the administrators and stuff because again, they're only given what the centralized government in Sacramento wants to give them. So that's why I was super pro splitting up the state into 3. Is I really would like to get more power to local government because I think local government would be, if you're going to have government, you might as well have it right where you're going to be at. And like you were saying, and we have a
Yeah.
problem. We have a lot of problems right now, and that's a huge huge one on my list.
And California is a big old state, you know. One person
Well,
trying
you know,
to fix everything.
I
They do need to
I
probably
don't
break
think
it up into a
truly,
couple
you'll
states.
truly achieve your goal of localized government until like an entire state secedes from the union. You know,
Bingo. Yeah.
You know, like
Well, the feds will always be there, yeah, looming
not
over
California. If California seceded, it would just be another fucked country. But
everything. We would end up worse than Mexico. Well, nothing. Well, maybe
man.
not. We'd
be
probably be
another-
like
Cuba
I don't know,
or-
Cuba.
it would basically
Somalia.
be like another the United States the way it is now. Liberty,
Yeah.
get down. Come
We,
on. That's our guest, Liberty.
Yeah,
Come
our
on.
dog.
She's
is-
great. She's great.
She makes her appearance on every episode.
That's good.
Yeah,
She,
she's-
that's how you know it's a good guest.
Before we wrap up this topic,
Mm-hmm.
I did want to go back to the voting thing, and I just wanted to point out how fucked the system is in general, and that the way
Yeah,
the,
it's so sad.
and the whole voting process and how ridiculous it is at this point that we're still kind of doing it this way when we have the technology to move on from all this bullshit.
Well, they want it this way so that they can
and
keep manipulating things.
there's
and
a lot of money in it, and I
Yeah.
wanted to look up actually how much a person like Brenda Snipes makes.
Yeah, please do.
because her job is completely irrelevant. Like
It's-
this type of supervisor, you don't need this type of voting where you go to a voting location and cast a vote.
Bingo. It's a very unneeded middleman.
Yeah,
That seems to
And
be
that's-
screwing up a lot of
that's,
things.
That's kind of what government is to me.
Bingo.
It's just a middleman.
It is.
You know, and they kind of just take their share to get in the middle of a free market transaction that could probably have been done
More
peacefully, more efficiently without them. You know,
I don't think anyone can really dispute that the private sector does things faster, quicker, more efficient, and
Yes, it does.
with a lot less cost generally than the
yeah. And if it's
public.
if it's not efficient, it gets weeded out eventually because the free market, in my opinion, self corrects.
It does.
You know,
Money's a huge motivator. The people at the top don't want to lose it. So if there's an issue, they usually cut that issue out real quick.
Brenda Snipes' salary. Let's see. Come on, give me. They're just gonna withhold this from me, aren't they? I'm gonna have to really dig for this one.
They don't want you to know.
I
They
know,
probably
yeah, my
blacked
phone.
it all
I'm
out.
not able to find it,
Yeah.
and I was like on the
It's-
second page of Google right now.
It's been ripped out of everywhere because no one wants you to be able to look that up.
Okay. Here's a from May 30th, 2016. Rick Scott okays pay raise for Florida election supervisors.
Oh my gosh.
How do you like that?
Oh man,
Sun Sentinel.
That's- here we are just talking about you gotta get more efficient.
Do we need to say any more about
Yeah.
how fucked the government
It
is?
is. It really, really is. You know,
It's
Love-
not designed to help us, that's for sure.
It's not,
and they
and-
make some people think that it is.
I
A
think.
lot of people
Okay,
like
let me
some people
see.
think they need the government. A lot of people think they do.
and love him or hate him, Trump is really good at calling out the government and calling out
And the media.
Yeah,
Yes,
and the media.
Yeah.
It's great, and nobody has been like that before ever
No.
in my lifetime or anything that I know about. And so it's totally different.
Yeah, people like to say
I'm seeing
that
something
Trump
like-
has created
I don't
this
know.
animosity towards the media, and it's like, no,
No.
he hasn't. He just noticed that animosity and then
Yeah.
totally played that in the election. And
Oh, yeah.
you know, he was hearing that the media sucks, and he said the media sucks, and
Yeah.
everybody said, yeah, the media does suck, and
now-
he's still, and basically he's still campaigning for 2020. So
Oh, yeah.
So every time he points his finger at the media, like the majority of the country loves that shit.
Oh yeah, and to be real, we didn't really see just how bad they sucked till he was elected, and we're like, oh my, they suck.
It's gotten worse.
It's gotten
It definitely
yeah.
has.
And what's funny is, like you said, is they're saying that he made the animosity and it was there, but it wasn't in your face as much.
Yeah.
And really, it just was a lot more. I guess you could say hidden a lot more. He brought it to light, and I'm telling you, everyone is. They're just saying he's just saying what we all feel and what we've known. Like the media has thought we're dumb, that we're uneducated, that we're not paying attention to things. So here we'll show you this.
Yeah.
Come on, we're
That's like as somebody who's not a Trump supporter, it's one of the things I like about him is that he does point the finger at the media.
Tim
a
doesn't
lot,
like
and
any
they
of the
deserve
presidents
it.
ever.
This is very true. In my lifetime, those are the only ones I choose to comment on.
Yeah.
They all were terrible.
So real quick, I was listening to the last podcast, and I think you said that Obama might go down as the worst president ever.
I did say that.
I just want to say I pretty much backed that.
No, yeah, same here. He's killed so many people. Like,
Well, he's probably responsible for more civilian deaths, definitely in my lifetime than anybody. But I think you date back to Vietnam, and
I hear she this thing is she makes $177,000 plus benefits.
$177,000.
That's what it says, but I don't know.
To mess up
Let me see
elections.
here, but I'm
Thank you
pretty
for bringing
sure.
that
But
back,
sorry,
because-
it took me a while to find
For
it.
real.
I want
Thank
to get
you.
to the point, and this just goes to that, like how over bloated our government is, and you take the election process as a microcosm of that, and you can see that people like this who are totally unnecessary are still making $177,000 a year.
Bingo.
And then you've got to think that this is the supervisor. She has underlings.
Oh, yeah.
Each of these underlings, sure, she's probably got some non-paid interns and shit, but there's underlings there that are probably bringing in 50 to 60K a year.
Oh, probably more.
You
If
know?
she's making 170, they're probably making close to 100, if not more.
I don't see why not. It's in there, and every single one of their jobs should be dissolved and easily could be dissolved.
Not only easily, but after a second election fumble, maybe we should really look into not, having her around.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to continue this bullshit system we have. So,
Yeah.
but let's at least try and
Clean it up.
clean it up. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's either she's lying and they tried to steal the election, or she's incredibly incompetent. I don't know which is better or worse, really, because at least
Either way, she needs to step down.
she needs to step down. And I know that they're looking at it in Arizona right now too, for voter fraud. I think it was also Georgia, I want to say. But yeah, you're right. Our government is way too huge right now. That's another thing I like about Trump. He seems like he's really trying to hack some of that up.
He has made cuts, which
yeah.
is fine, but he's also contributed to. I mean, I believe the budget is still more than it was under Obama.
It should, yeah, and we can come back to that. But back to what you were saying about the election. Now, are you talking about the electoral process? Or are you talking about
when it comes to like the electoral college and
Yeah.
electing the president? That's even more archaic to me.
So, I used to think that until I really saw the civics, because when I really saw just how much California and New York could basically decide the fate of the whole country. And being a Californian and knowing that the problems I face here is probably not going to be the same problems that someone in Wyoming faces, or the same issues that someone in Oklahoma is going to face, kind of really brought me back to, I think the Electoral College is intelligent, because what it does is it says, if we did popular vote, then we already know that wherever New York and California vote for it, you might as well just put the president's title on
But
it.
those are all individuals in those cities.
Yeah, so when
And if you did popular vote, you may get more of a turnout, and you may
Which,
see
true.
different results, even within those cities.
True, and you may see, yeah, because I mean, I think you brought this up on your last podcast too. Is our vote means pretty much nothing out here.
Yeah.
Especially
It's one of the reasons why I've never cast a vote for president, because I know
Yeah.
it's not going to count.
It's not. I mean, the state is so liberal that I really was on the bandwagon with John Cox for governor, but I didn't really think there was going to be a ton of hope that he was going to win. But that said, everything out here is blue. So, and it's so blue that we don't stand a chance of having our voices really heard, which kind of would ease back into maybe going back to a popular vote thing, because then your voice does count, because now it's just tallying up even for even. But then I go back to, do I really want New York and California, if they did continue to be the bullies in the neighborhood, do I really want them being the ones that are leading the nation, and who gets to be president, who gets to be...
That doesn't make any sense to me. Because you're talking about a state in California which has the most people
Yeah.
out of any state, but it doesn't really matter if you just count one vote, one person. You know, it's you can completely dissolve the borders of the states in that instance, and just look at the country as a whole, and let every person that's eligible to vote cast their vote and count them, and just go by popular vote. It's the only way that makes sense. The Electoral College was created
Yeah, but not every state is the same.
as a way to count the election in times when we didn't have the internet or even I believe it was created before the telegraph was even invented, right?
It was I want to say it was the forefathers came up with it.
I think so basically you had state officials counting votes and then bringing what they found to the electorate or to the federal government to announce their findings.
So what it does is it kind of does the popular vote of the state. So if we vote fully Democrat, then they give all 55 of our votes, because that's what California is worth, to the Electoral College and that's why everyone looks for California in a sense, because California and Texas being the biggest Republican state, was, and California being the biggest blue state, and so they look to those for the electoral votes. But popular vote, I think, would work in a more, better or more perfect system, in the sense that, one, you would have to figure out a way to kill voter fraud. And because then if you're a popular vote, then it's just a number. It's a numbers game. So you can if you keep throwing ballots out there.
I think voter fraud is much more of a problem if you have an electoral college.
Well, there puts a limit on to what. So I guess you could say it's probably a bigger problem in the sense that it probably promotes more.
Let me rephrase that. Yeah. I think corrupt officials have a much easier time of navigating the current system of the electoral college than they would in the event that we switch to a popular vote.
Well, I think I agree in the sense that you could probably, it would be a little bit more difficult to, because then you're talking about, you would have to, depending on what area you're in, or you would have to know how many votes the other side's going to cast, and you would have to make those votes up somehow. And I see what you're saying with that, and I see where you're navigating.
As an example, I think people like Brenda Snipes, assuming she's a corrupt official in Canada, there's a lot of suspicion there.
It's a fair assumption.
Sure. She can gravitate towards states like Florida that are generally swing states or very important states in the election, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other corrupt counties in states like Ohio and New Hampshire, other states that are very important to the electoral college.
What I think it does, though, is it limits the effect of that. See, if, let's say tomorrow we had the presidential election, and California imported 1 million voters, or they just made up 1 million votes for, we'll say that Hillary runs again. Please, Hillary, run again. That said, if Hillary was running again, California would say, if it was popular vote, we have these 3 million extra votes that came out. But this isn't, just so you guys are aware, from my understanding, California's a few times now had more votes than they do have registered voters. So it's not.
How is that even?
It's corruption. Not. Yes, absolute
it's
corruption.
So bad.
And but they say, okay, well, we have all these millions of extra votes. Well, in a popular system, you just count them million for million. And conservatives, and this is something that I like, that Trump is giving the conservatives a little bit of teeth, not to cheat, but to actually start calling out some of the stuff, because they've been kind of pussies for a long time. And but that said, is the Liberal Party seems to be the one that pushes more towards the corruption side. And that's not to bash liberals. That's not to say conservatives are perfect, because they're not. But it just seems that way, maybe, just from what we hear with the situation in Florida, Arizona, multiple times in California. With right before the election, California DMV, I think, registered 20,000 illegal immigrants. We found an additional 20,000 illegal immigrants. So when you're just counting vote for vote, California can say, we found an extra 1 million votes or something. But under the Electoral College, they can find as many votes as they want. We're blue no matter what. So no matter what, you're only getting 55 votes. So
all those immigrants flock to Texas.
Yes, actually. And it's funny you say that, because they looked at the demograph after this. Anywhere that's right along the border turned blue. It's like dark blue, too. And everything that was a little bit more north is more conservative. But as Californians are leaving in droves, I think you're going to see issues with like Texas, Idaho. I think they're going to start becoming blue, which is horrible because you think about a lot of people in California leave California because of the things that Californians voted into California, and then they take it to wherever they're going to go, and
They still vote blue.
Yeah, they still vote blue.
Yeah.
Why are they doing that?
I know. It's like, what are you doing? Like, come on. And
Billy.
that's what I always see when I'm online. I read like people from Texas. They get so upset. Like, please, why are you coming here? You left a nightmare, and you're trying to make the same nightmare here. You know, but
I think the whole system is messed up, and it's too easy to have corruption because it's been around for so long, the same thing. So people find ways to, cheat and do things that they shouldn't do. So if they changed it up completely, it'll be a while maybe before they can
There was
be corrupt. I don't know.
I think a governor of Texas that tweeted recently to somebody, or he was replying to an article that was stating that there's a lot of people from San Francisco moving to Texas
Yes.
right now. And he was saying, you're welcome to come move into Texas, but please don't bring your tradition of voting for burdensome regulations to our state.
Yeah.
I basically agree with him across the board, and in theory, he's absolutely right. But my response to that is, aren't you guys still arresting people for possession of marijuana in your state?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up.
The
Now,
war on drugs needs to stop.
I mostly agree with that statement. I read or heard, I should say, I think on the radio, that there was a college student not that long ago who made some pot brownies, and then he gave them out or whatever. They ended up busting him for distribution, and based on their laws, they basically gave him life sentence, or were trying him for life sentence. Now, to me, that's a gross overstepping of that's unfair and undue process, and that's just extreme.
And that's just one person.
And that's
Think
just
of all
one
the
person.
other people. Yeah,
Now,
so crazy.
I think we really need, like, with that, this is okay. Glad you brought this up. I personally was not pro marijuana being made legal in California. I think that
I was on the fence, to be honest with you, just to put that out there.
no,
same
you're,
here,
yeah.
Same here.
It's
Obviously, my opinion
Even though
is
I
you should
even
be
smoke
free
it,
to
I still-
do whatever
Yeah.
substances you want, but I wasn't necessarily pro legalization the way they had it written.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's kind of the thing. Yeah, and there seems to be a lot of loopholes and a lot of issues that the way they wrote it. But
Yeah.
that said, I guess I'm with you. I'm more on the fence with it because I wasn't really for it, but I am kind of like, well, if I can drink and I can smoke cigarettes, marijuana is not that far from those. It's not like it's not heroin. It's not.
I think heroin should be legal too, for the record.
See, and that's where you and me go a little different, but that's okay. I get it. Because I think that what you put in
I've
your
never
body
done
should be your
heroin,
decision.
but I think it should each their own.
And to be honest, it's never a case like with the marijuana thing. It's never a case of the government, like we're just voting.
Sorry,
for the
if you're not
government
hurting
to
somebody-
take their hands off the whole thing.
If
like,
you're not hurting
no, the
somebody, you're not
government's never
killing, you're
gonna-
not raping, you're not doing anything to hurt anybody else. You should be able to do what you want to yourself.
You're not aggressing upon another individual.
It's sad. The heroin's
Yeah.
awful. People die.
Oh, yeah,
It's-
die.
But that's their thing.
It is a terrible drug, and we definitely need to educate our children
But-
about the dangers of it.
See,
Very dangerous. Yeah.
with marijuana, there seems to be enough positives that have come out. So I try to always look at things logically, and I feel like I can be swayed to say, okay, I don't have a problem with marijuana being legal because I think there's been more than enough evidence to show people with certain diseases can be helped by it, especially seems like neurological diseases. It seems to help. And so I don't necessarily have a problem with marijuana. I didn't want it to be legal, I think, because one, the way it was written, I think is kind of
wasn't
garbage.
good.
Fair enough.
And two, I don't want to see that progression to the harder drugs. And I know that that's where I said we kind of differentiate a little bit. Is you're okay with heroin. I don't necessarily have a problem with people doing stuff.
I'm definitely not pro heroin.
I know you're
Yeah,
not pro
I know.
heroin. Let me change that.
Pro freedom.
You're okay with pro freedom. And on that
Yeah.
sense is, I agree that what you put in your body is really your business. I'm actually pro steroids. I think you should be allowed to take whatever steroids you want. I think that's because there's almost, well, that's another argument for another day. I'm very pro steroids, but anyhow,
I agree.
Yeah, and But heroin, it just seems like if you started making it legal, it would become more rampant. And I'm not worried so much about the people that are doing it. I'm worried about the things that are the consequences of the people surrounding.
You think it would be more rampant than it is now? It's pretty rampant already.
I disagree, though,
I
that
think
it would be more rampant.
it's really rampant
Well-
already, though, right? From what I hear,
Or maybe
I
not
think.
rampant, but maybe more commonplace. Like it wouldn't be hidden as much. It wouldn't be as hard to function,
To acquire.
Uh-huh.
I agree with that, and I don't think it should be difficult to acquire if you so choose.
True.
As an
I mean, if
adult.
it was legal, it wouldn't matter because we have dispensaries, and now we have we've had liquor stores and stuff. Some states don't, or some states do a little bit differently. But we have liquor stores. We have so it would be something. I'm sure you could just eventually get to a point where someone's manufacturing it, like a large manufacturer,
Yeah.
and be a safer.
Somebody's profiting off it, making a business.
Don't they
Bingo.
have like on somewhere in Europe
There's
where
definitely a demand for heroin in the free market.
Oh yeah.
like where's that
Definitely
town? Like
demand heroin,
Holland or
period.
something like that, where they everything they don't have any like
Amsterdam.
war on or somewhere no war on drugs but very low crime.
Amsterdam does have drug laws.
They do.
They're definitely different than here, and marijuana is pretty much legalized there.
Yes.
I think it was in Portugal
Somewhere where
that they legalized or they decriminalized all drugs.
and they have super low crime over there.
I
But it
wanna
is different there than here.
Well, the crime rate is inevitably going to go down if you
Yeah.
in the criminalization of drugs, because there's that whole basically that's all law enforcement, or 90% of what law
It's a
enforcement does in
great
this
deal.
country is narcotics.
Yes. And
And
really,
if you take all that, you basically drop 90% of the crime rate.
because no matter what way you look at it, drugs are causing more often the crime, no matter what side that crime is. Whether it's you're
A
using
lot of that has to do with it being in a black market entity.
True. Yeah. So it's like if you were to shoot up and you got behind a car and behind the wheel and killed someone, that still would fall under they're going to go through DUI, narcotics, and so forth. So
And I'm also of the opinion that DUI should be punished more harshly.
I agree. I'm kind of
Can-
on toss up on that.
Can you hold that thought for me, Ryan?
I sure can.
We're getting to the point where we got to save this, or we're gonna have another fucking glitch. So
Oh yeah, we don't want technical
let's
difficulties.
get back at it
again.
after a 5-minute, 10-minute intermission.
You got it.
Oh yeah.
Beg like a hooker all night long. Shelter the devil with my song. And got what I wanted all along. But I would, if I could, wish it away. Wish it away, wish it all away. Wanna wish it all away. No grounds you could hold, sway, or justify my give it away. My sin, so if I could, I'd wish it all away. If I thought tomorrow would take you away, you're my peace of mind, all my sentence. Just trying to hold on one more day. Dim my eyes, dim my eyes, dim my eyes. They should compromise. I'll open once and need to find me. Then I might as well be
All right. Okay, so I wanted to say one point I think I was about to make about the DUI talk was that DUI laws largely do not affect rich people.
So you're saying like the affluent because it's mostly a money thing. Because it does cost
it
a lot of
mostly revolves around fines, and they seem to be set fines across the board. So if you're rich, you don't pay any more than somebody who lives on a fixed income or on a budget.
So when you say DUIs, you're talking about vehicular manslaughter kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Just a straight DUI.
Like if you just get a DUI or you're just pulled over and you fail your sobriety test and they test you at 0.10 or whatever, or 0.20, whatever.
Yeah.
It's basically, and you hear it all the time. They even have anti-DUI commercials that say it costs $10,000.
Yeah.
That's like
It
a
costs
theme.
at least that much. I've had just the lights keep flickering. Sorry, but
Ghosts.
yeah, look at the wall. What
But yeah,
happened
no,
over there for no reason?
they
but
literally
no, yeah, they're
have
very
those
expensive.
commercials
Unfortunately,
that
I've had a
seen that
DUI.
kinda
They're
put
very
it in your
expensive.
face that they put a price tag on the DUI. Says
Yeah.
it's going to cost you $10,000.
So long as you can afford this, you're good.
So yeah, and when a person
know.
like me sees these commercials, it's like, okay, so if it costs you $10,000, then there's certainly people out there that piss on $10,000.
Oh, yeah.
So are we just to believe that those people are going to be out there drinking and driving as they please, or?
Well, my guess is it would be. When it comes to people that have more money, the thing that I'm looking at is how much more money. If it's someone that makes 200, 300, 400,000 a year,
Sure.
10,000 still will hurt them. I mean, it's not going to be as much as say someone like us where we're not making that much money.
Oh, yeah.
But 10,000 is a huge chunk of our change, or a lot of our money. But with when someone's making like 400,000, they're still gonna feel it, but not quite as much.
Yeah.
Now the real question is, if someone's a millionaire, why are they driving themselves? They shouldn't be. They should be having someone.
Millionaires love high performance vehicles.
Yeah, but they like to.
that maybe
don't they
makes
like
it
to drive
even
those on the
worse.
racetrack.
That does make it
though?
worse.
Kind of exasperating.
In fact, we've had enough accidents where people weren't
And-
intoxicated. So
You bring up a great point. It's almost like as I climb the ladder of social status, it's like DUIs become less and less important to me.
Yep.
Maybe drinking and driving doesn't cross my mind as much, so now
True.
I'm more
Very true.
prone to going out there and getting behind the wheel buzzed,
and making a
Not
dumb choice.
me.
So while I personally think we don't punish DUI offenders harsh enough for the most part,
You think I should have been more punished?
we'll talk about your DUI on another episode.
Well, I don't think I should have been more punished.
That's a special circumstance, and it's definitely worth bringing up. But right now, we're just talking about DUI enforcement as it stands.
Yeah,
And I think I honestly think they're targeting the poor with DUI laws.
What I would actually like to see is more. If you're gonna try and make it more, because I don't really have too much of an opinion on this, other than if you're gonna make it cost people more, so you can make it more detrimental to them, so they don't do it.
Yeah.
My suggestion would be, instead of making it like a flat fee or like something that goes up with your income or anything, is maybe have it go up with how much over the limit you are. And
Certainly.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the reason is like
They
kind
do,
of like
they do that today.
well,
do
like
you
our
mean?
speeding limits. Like if I do 25 over a speed limit versus if I do 10 over a speed limit, it's gonna be a
That's
substantial
a
difference.
big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Price wise.
Whereas, I mean, to get a DUI when you're, barely over the limit.
The classes were the same price for me or somebody else. It didn't depend on what our offense was.
Right.
We were both paying the same shit.
Now, obviously, if there's injuries and
It's just
Oh,
a
yeah.
length of
property
time.
damage,
Like
it's
they
a
paid the
different
fees for a
story.
less length of time.
Absolutely.
than
you're obviously facing jail time in that instance.
And something that really bugs me is a DUI can actually be issued even if you're not technically over the legal limit. The law
Yes.
is written so that if you just had, say, a drink, but
Yeah,
the officer's discretion, they say that you were driving unsafely.
You can easily be charged with suspicion of DUI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's right. I think if you're going to make something as serious as DUI with serious consequences and increasing it, then you need set defined rules on what that is. And so if you're going to say it's 0.5 or 0.8 or whatever it is, then anything under that cannot be considered a DUI. So for instance, if you're saying 0.8, if I get pulled over at 0.6, then, or 0.8, I keep saying 0.8, but 0.08 and 0.06, if I'm at 0.06 and the officer smells alcohol on me, and even if I don't pass my thing, but they make me take a breathalyzer test, and I'm at 0.06, they shouldn't let me get in. They should have no problem with me getting back in my car.
Yeah, definitely.
And going, because that's not the law.
Yeah.
We should never exceed. We shouldn't try to drag people to jail for being close to breaking the law.
Yeah.
It needs to be for breaking the law. And I really have a problem with the way our DUI stuff is set up, because it's really there's a lot of discretion on the police's part and not the arresting officers, and I don't think that's right. I think it needs to be black and white, and especially when something serious, especially if it's something that's dealing with
Would you do away with roadside tests of any kind?
no and yes. I mean, no, I don't think I would, because
Right.
they're there for a reason.
And they're never forced.
Yeah,
It's always, you can always opt for a blood test.
you could do a blood test. I think the breathalyzer is a little bit easier to contest. I could be wrong. I think the blood is a lot harder.
So you're
because-
dealing with an officer, and I believe it's their responsibility to.
But if
have
it
those
depends on the
machines calibrated.
situation, because if you're like, if your driver's license is at stake of being lost because of it, if you request a blood test, it takes a lot longer to get the results back, and then you get to keep your license during that whole time.
Sure.
Whereas if you get a
always
breathalyzer, you
smarter-
get your license taken away right
It's
then and
always
there.
smarter to request
Depends
the
the
blood test. In
situation.
fact,
I think
any
it
attorney
depends.
will tell you that. However, the issue always comes down to the officer itself. Like you're saying, there's maybe too much power granted to the
Oh, yeah.
actual officers enforcing DUI, because once you say, no, I don't want to submit to your roadside test, and I want you to take me in for a blood test, you're saying to the cop that you're willing to get in the back of his car, handcuffed,
Yep.
your vehicle impounded.
Yep.
You're
what I had to
basically
do.
automatically giving up a lot of shit. You're making a huge sacrifice just to exercise your right of getting a blood test.
Exactly. And I'm actually glad you brought this up, because I was thinking about this earlier, and I watched this really great video. It was like an hour long, and it was a lawyer talking about how you should always request a lawyer. Don't talk to the police. And it goes to the Fifth Amendment, saying that you don't have to talk to police, and people are constantly talking to the police, and they get themselves in trouble. Even if they
Yeah.
didn't do anything, they get themselves in trouble.
After all,
And he
you do
gave-
have the right to remain silent.
And he gave tons of examples, and then he had someone from that county sheriff come over and start speaking on it too. And he said the sheriff basically said the exact same thing the lawyer said. He said, my job is to find out what you did wrong. You're going to say something that's going to screw you up. He's like, I can't tell you how many people have admitted to things, and it gets them. So going back to that, and I would tell this to anyone, police do great work. I think that they help keep law and order. I love our cops, and I think that they put themselves in harm's way. But they're not your friend when it comes to when they're pulling you over, when they're arresting
Yeah.
you, when they're giving you a citation. So whatever you say can and will be used against you. So
We're talking about the highway patrol mainly.
so you always keep your mouth shut. And
Yeah.
going back to DUI is, I agree. You're giving up a lot of your stuff for what?
Justice.
For justice, yeah. And and I even want to say that I feel like some of the times that when they pull them people over, because they know at 2:00, maybe start pulling people over that
Oh,
you might
yeah.
not even swerve.
They're waiting.
Yeah, they're just waiting. And if you
Anyone out at that hour,
I
you
mean,
have
who-
to do
who's
everything
pulled
right.
over between the hours of 2 and 3 is not under suspicion of DUI.
Yep.
bingo, and
They're automatically assuming that everybody is messed up.
so I really question why was the person pulled over in the first place. Now, again, I'm with you that we need DUI laws, because too many people have been killed, innocent people. It kind of going back to what you were saying about what you do to your own body. I was always raised that if I'm going to do something stupid, make sure I'm the only person that gets hurt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're gonna kill someone,
do it in your own
yeah.
It
home.
goes
Make
against
sure it's
all
you.
my principles to put other lives in danger.
Bingo.
Yep.
And
100%.
that bugs me. And when you do that, you're putting other people's lives in danger.
Yes.
And so I think it's a travesty. So I'm not necessarily against stricter DUI laws, but I would want it to no longer be discretionary on the police's part. I want it to be, you do your test, and if you were at this percentage, then there is no question it's a DUI.
Yeah.
But anything under that is not discretionary. The law says this, and
Yep.
then we're going with this. So I would like it more black and white.
And if you're 0.24 or 0.30,
Yeah.
that's serious crime.
Oh yeah. Point
Yeah.
two. Once you start getting above, in the point just ones, It's bad.
It's awful. It's very bad.
And when
Yeah.
you cause property damage,
yeah,
It's
it's
even
very big. Yeah, it's.
and
Yeah.
obviously, if you harm another individual, then
Oh,
you should
yeah.
be punished to the fullest extent. And
I was
Another
very
people,
blessed that day.
probably.
I could have really hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
One myself. So.
Again,
God
we'll
was
talk
looking out
about
for you.
your shit on
Yeah.
another episode. In fact, I want to maybe dedicate a whole episode to Natalie's DUI.
Oh no,
She's
it was
like,
quite
no.
crazy. All of it.
We
That's
all,
to come, people. It'll come.
every person does something stupid at some point.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
it's mostly just trying to limit the damage that our stupid actions that time, that day do. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to ever hurt no other people.
If I even so much, one of the things is because you always offer me a drink, you're a very gracious host, and I always want to take you up, but because of my convictions on not even having anything, in my system when I'm driving, then that's why I usually will turn down drinks. So if I go anywhere, if I'm at home, I'm like, oh,
Absolutely. Yeah. Me and Natalie, we love to party.
shit. Yeah,
And we go hard, and we always get a hotel room.
smart and
And
Yeah.
that's why we love to party in Vegas, because the party is always around the hotel room.
bingo, and you
Yeah.
can walk everywhere, and everyone's walking with you. It's a great
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I agree, and I think that's why I like going to Vegas too. Even having kids, it's a little bit more. It's a little different. I'm obviously not there for the same stuff I used to be, but everyone's there drinking, and
Yeah,
they all
it's
have the
still
same thing.
fun.
It's still
Like,
fun.
yeah.
It's like,
And you don't have to worry about driving.
exactly. And you lose
harming
weight because
people.
you think your hotel's only one like hotel over, and it takes you an hour to get there.
I know.
It's like, you don't realize how far it is. So
Right, and by the time you get back there, you have
Just
like
to wrap up the
all
DUI
these things in your
conversation, I'd love to see an end to checkpoints.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think those are kind of a violation of our freedoms.
I agree. I think
I think people get in trouble for other things through those checkpoints.
Sure.
yeah. I also think that they have the cops that have the cameras that will automatically scan your license plate.
No.
I think that's completely BS.
What
I think
is
it's illegal.
this? They scan your license plate?
There's
now?
been a few. I've seen them in Marietta.
Yeah.
What is it?
I
What
don't
is it? I
have
haven't
so
heard-
much of a problem with those if the
Wait, what are you
laws
talking
were written as I see they should be.
Hmm.
But in today's system, yeah, those are a gross overreach of
What does it
of
do real
government
quick? It's a
power.
camera that just scans your car.
Yeah,
or
so
something?
they have multiple angles on the camera on the roof of the car, or so. I've
Oh,
seen
on
them.
the cop car.
Yeah, on the cop car, and
Okay.
it just drives by. It can
Yeah,
scan
it's
and read.
just
I think
constantly
multiple.
scanning
Yeah.
license plates around the cop car.
See if you're stolen.
You see them
or-
everywhere in Moreno
Yeah.
Valley.
Whoa! And so it's just scanning like all the cars at the intersection or something.
I don't
Yeah.
know how specifically how
I-
far they.
I thought
scan
they're
it
supposed
or
to only
what,
do that when they
but
pull
yeah.
you over.
See,
Is
and
that-
that's the thing
Or if
is-
they're like gonna pull you over or something.
Is the way. So I've seen them on like shows when they go into it, but I don't know how they work in practicality. I've seen some cop cars that obviously have the stuff on there or something on there that is doing it.
Dang.
But I'm pretty anti anything that is invasion of any kind of privacy at all. So like
Yeah.
when people want cameras at like parks and stuff, it's like, yeah, I get the logic. You're trying to, minimize like things that are happening at the park, but I don't want my face on your
They're
camera.
trying to bust
and-
people that
yeah.
want to buy.
Totally feel you on
Pot.
that, but
But
when I think of my utopian society that revolves around the free market, I realize that security revolves around kind of a lack of privacy, if you will. Like
Yes.
if you get rid of a corrupt government altogether, and you imagine a society where there's no corruption from the people that maybe
Powers
have
be.
some sort of authority. Although there wouldn't be that much authority with individuals in my utopia, you kind of rely on technology to stamp out crime.
gotcha.
You know, and I think cameras and video recordings have a lot to do with this individual safety. You know, like
Yeah.
Wait, you're
so
talking
in my
about-
utopian society, like the people, the localized governments that exist would call upon the technology to convict, criminals of their crimes, and
No, I don't
you
want
would
people
use-
watching
you would
you
use-
24/7.
you would use the hard- I don't want that either in this current system we have, because I know there's corruption at the top, and they're gonna use that to fucking say, "Oh, we've got video of you smoking weed. Now we're going to lock you in a cage."
Yeah.
And that's
So you're saying,
ridiculous.
okay, let's say, so
But
your camera
let's say-
bot, if your camera
let's say-
bot saw somebody smoking weed, your camera bot's not going to care. It's just looking for like
No,
somebody
in my
murdering or
utopian
something.
society, they don't care about you smoking weed. They don't care about you shooting heroin. The cameras, but when the cameras
Oh my
catch
God.
you aggressing upon another individual's freedom, then you can be, you're liable for some sort of restitution.
I see what you're saying.
That's like something from a movie.
I was thinking Minority Report the whole time. I was
Well,
like, huh.
if you think about it, it's surveillance is a technological advancement that we should be able to benefit from.
We should.
But because of government corruption, we really can't, because
That's true. They'll use it
officials
against
in
us,
charge
for sure.
of that sort of monitoring would use it for
For their gains.
For their gain.
And our
Evil deeds,
losses.
if
Oh
you
yeah,
will.
and leverage on people too. Don't forget.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But,
So
yeah.
you're right. You're absolutely right. I hate the government spying on the citizens.
Hate it.
And I'm not in favor of cameras being everywhere recording everything because of the current system. But in my utopian society, it does exist.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But your society is way different than this one. So.
Very. So I'm just curious though. So in say your utopian society, so on a day-to-day basis, especially in California, because we have a law for everything in California.
Yeah.
Would you say? Well, I'll speak for myself. I probably break at least 20 or 30 laws a day, even unknowingly. Not that I'm like, oh hey, this
Yeah,
is a
I'm
law.
here.
developed.
Everybody's breaking
Huh?
laws.
Yeah, everything's a crime. No, it's like
Yeah.
everything's a crime. So with that said, in a situation where you're constantly being surveyed, all those little crimes I break where no one's getting hurt, no one's getting infected, I don't even know that I'm breaking them half the time.
Right.
I would be getting either citations for all those, or would I be getting arrested for those, or what would it be happening?
Well,
Or all those
the only
ongoing-
crimes in my utopian society would basically revolve around violent acts or
Gotcha.
theft, which I kind of consider a violent act,
Yeah.
even if nobody's hurt.
Messed up
necessarily
things.
physically.
Rape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For instance,
Kidnapping.
if
all
there
the
was
bad shit.
or let's just say you stole something,
Yeah.
and you were caught on camera stealing something, you would then be forced to pay back with some sort of a fee on top of that what you did. You wouldn't be arrested necessarily, because I don't know how I feel about incarceration
Okay.
for crimes. I mean, certain crimes, heinous
murder.
crimes, you really
You have to go to
then
jail.
incarceration is probably appropriate.
Hmm.
Like a rape or a murder, you should probably be locking those individuals away and keeping them separate from normal people
Normal
in society.
society.
Yeah.
But as somebody who's a thief, they should probably be punished by having to pay back.
Well, it depends on what
they
they're
stole,
stealing, no?
and then some, maybe.
What if they stole
Sure,
like a shitload of shit for a long time?
Like if you get busted, like if you bust up an embezzlement ring, like somebody's been embezzling like thousands of dollars from a company for
taking
many
stuff.
years,
Yeah, like
and they
crazy
can't
stuff.
pay it back.
And then you also have the issue with like
And then if you don't
Then,
send them
yeah,
to jail,
I
they
mean-
might not learn their lesson. But
Exactly,
I don't know.
you
Yeah.
you probably do have to
Hit 'em where it
resort to
hurts.
incarceration in
Because
that-
money's
in
not a
that
thing, they'll
instance.
just pay it off. And
If somebody can't pay back the restitution that is required,
Oh,
of
if
them,
those people- yeah,
they
no,
have to
they-
then forcefully work
Hey.
it off in some.
What if
they
you're rich
essentially
enough,
become
though?
the victim's slave at that point.
what
under
if you're
the-
rich enough
That's
to
actually
pay it off
biblical
over and
law.
over and over, and
It's
you can just
interesting.
never learn your lesson?
in the Old Testament, that's how it usually was ran. They had to pay back when they got caught with like a certain percentage over. But that said, so you would do away with most of like the petty crime stuff, but start focusing.
Non-violent crimes
Gotcha.
would basically be gone. You know.
I will always side with unsafe liberty over safe laws and constriction.
And safe
Yeah.
security,
Yeah, safe security.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lack of privacy.
bingo. And especially with, okay, for instance, we're talking about the Second Amendment. I'm so extreme on the other end of that I'm like, I put a gun in every person's hand and train them how to use it.
At
Don't-
this point, you almost have to.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
don't see why they don't.
Before you expand on that,
Yeah.
can we get into the
Oh yeah,
shooting?
absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's talk about. I'm gonna read the article about it.
I feel
but
so
it's
sorry
just-
for. It's
I
just
know.
all so jacked up.
It is so jacked up, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
God, please be with us. This is getting.
I feel
Outta
I
hand.
feel like I don't even like I don't know. I'm sometimes because we go to concerts and stuff all the time, and like sometimes the thought crosses my head like
So I will read this article and I'll
hopefully we're safe
pose a
inside of here.
question, yeah,
Okay.
most likely. Okay, this is from NBC San Diego. 12 killed, including Sergeant, when gunman opens fire in bar. By Jason Kendall and Elizabeth Campos. This was from November 8th, so it's a couple days old. A gunman in a crowded Southern California bar sent people diving for cover and smashing windows to escape Wednesday night when he opened fire and killed 12 people, including a sheriff sergeant who responded to the call for help. By early afternoon, 10 of the 12 victims had been identified. One of the victims, 27-year-old Telemachus Orphanos, who had survived the Las Vegas massacre, was slain amid the barrage of gunfire Wednesday night. The gunfire began about 11:15 p.m. during College Country Night, a weekly event at the Borderline Bar and Grill. Hours later, parents and friends of those who remain unaccounted for were desperately searching for updates. Many in the crowd came from local colleges such as Pepperdine, Moore Park, and Cal State Channel Islands. The attacker, identified as a decorated 28-year-old Marine Corps veteran from the area, was found dead in an office at the bar after shooting himself, investigators said. Ventura County Sheriff Jeff Dean said his agency received multiple calls of shots being fired at the bar, which has a large dance hall, pool room, and eating and drinking area. About 150 to 200 people were inside at the time, Dean said. It's a horrific scene in there, Dean told a news conference in a bar parking lot. Minutes after the rounds were fired, Sheriff Sergeant Ron Hillis, 54, a California Highway Patrol officer, went in to respond to the gunshots. Hillis, a 29-year veteran looking forward to retirement soon, was speaking with his wife on the phone when he told her he needed to respond to an emergency. He went in to save lives, Dean said, his voice cracking. We went in to save other people. He went in to save other people. Hillis was shot several times in an exchange of gunfire with the attacker, Dean said. There were about 6 off-duty police officers inside the bar from several different agencies. Dean said it appears they took action to protect others and help them escape. I've already talked to a parent who came up and said, they stood in front of my daughter, said Dean. Witnesses told the Associated Press the hooded gunman used a smoke bomb and was wearing all black and his face partly covered. He first fired on a person working the door, then appeared to open fire at random. The shooter was identified as 28-year-old Ian David Long, who served in the Marine Corps from August 2008 to March 2013 and was deployed to Afghanistan as a machine gunner in 2010. Deputies were searching his Thousand Oaks house early Thursday in connection with the shooting. Neighbors told CBS 4 he lived in a home with his mother. The weapon was a legally purchased Glock 21 .45 caliber handgun equipped with an extended magazine, Dean said. California has banned large-capacity magazines since 2000, though a law that would have extended the ban to magazines possessed before then has been tied up in the courts. Dean added that the department has had several contacts with Long over the years. The most recent was in April when he was irate and acting irrationally, prompting a mental health crisis intervention team's involvement, Dean said. He was not taken into custody. It is believed the gunman shot himself, he added. The body was found in an office next to the entrance. There were no indication he specifically targeted anyone at the bar, Dean said. Some witnesses reported breaking through windows and ducking under tables to escape the fusillade. I don't know what that word is.
That's okay.
Big surprise, right?
No, you read great. You're fine.
Sarah
You're
Rose.
doing great.
Yeah, seriously.
Sarah Rose Desan of Whittier, a communications major at Cal State Channel Islands in Camarillo, was celebrating a friend's birthday at the bar when she heard the gunfire and noticed what appeared to be a smoke bomb. All I remember was standing there with my friend and I heard shots, she said. I'm pretty sure I saw him. I'll never get that picture out of my head. We dropped, heard gunshots, a lot of gunshots. Everyone was under the table, so it was hard to get under there. By the grace of God, I got in front of the door. She ran down the stairs, got in a car, and circled the area, yelling her friend's name. She found her friend safe, hiding in the bushes.
Oh my gosh.
A bomb squad was combing through the scene after some reported smoke bombs going off during the gunfire. There was no word on what motivated the shooting. In the hours after the shooting, members gathered a nearby unification center. After anxiously waiting all morning for word, Jason Kaufman received confirmation that his 22-year-old son Cody was among the dead. I've been here fighting for him all morning long, and we did just get the news that he was one of the 11 killed last night. A devastated Kaufman said, "He was Cody Kaufman, my firstborn son." Family members confirmed the death of 18-year-old Elena Housley, the niece of an actress Tamara Mowry Housley. California Lutheran University said a 23-year-old recent graduate also was among the dead. Recent graduate Justin Meek, 23, was killed in the shooting. The bar is just a few miles from the campus in Thousand Oaks. The sister of Sean Adler also confirmed to NBC4 that her brother died in the shooting. He was working at the Borderline bar on Wednesday nights to make extra money, she said. Daniel Manrique, a veteran who was at Borderline Bar and Grill meeting other members of the military in support, was shot and killed. The father of Telemachus Orfanos, known as Tel, said his son served in the Navy from 2011 to 2014. Tel, who loved to go on the popular Western-style bar and go line dancing, was among the several hundred people inside the venue around 11:15. He was shot and killed, his father told NBC4. Michael Hunter, 19, from Simi Valley, said he saw the gunman. He said he had a short-barreled semi-automatic pistol with a big magazine. He said he emptied the magazine and reloaded. The shooter was armed with a single handgun, according to law enforcement source. "I saw him walk in," Hunter said, "and he started shooting." Hunter said his friend, Tim Munson, 19, also from Simi Valley, was hospitalized. He didn't know his condition, Hunter said. He heard some 20 shots, and it seemed to take a while before the police arrived. It took forever to get the cops there, he said. Carl Edgar, a regular at the bar, said his mind was spiraling out of control. "I'm grateful I wasn't there, but at the same time, I wish I could have been there to help," Edgar said. "I don't have enough hands to count how many friends I have in there tonight. It's been a bad night. Wednesdays are the most popular because it's college night. Just a bunch of lively kids, different colleges, all the way from Ventura, all the way down to the valley." Edgar says his friends are okay. The shooting came one day before Sheriff Dean planned to retire after 41 years of service. Bill Ayub will assume the post Saturday. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families in the wake of this horrific tragedy. We are fully cooperating with local and federal law enforcement during their investigation. Please respect our privacy while we mourn the loss of so many lives, said the owner of the Borderline Bar, Brian Hines. The massacre was the deadliest mass shooting in the United States since 17 classmates and teachers were gunned down at Parkland, Florida school 9 months ago. It also came less than 2 weeks after a gunman killed 11 people at a synagogue in Pittsburgh. In May, 10 people were killed and 13 others injured when a gunman opened fire at Santa Fe High School in South Texas. Beverly White, Jonathan Gonzalez, Robert Kovacic, Stephanie Marakin, and Olivia Wu contributed to this report. So, Ryan, as bad as this is, and I hate to just move on from this tragedy.
Well, let's say first, we gotta say that hearts and prayers go out to all the victims and the families.
Yeah.
I thought that article did a very good job of covering that whole the tragedy and the magnitude of it.
They did. It is tragic, so tragic.
Yeah, and I personally am lucky enough when you talk about tragedies like this, especially when they're this close to us. It's like I'm lucky enough to not know anybody that was involved.
Yeah, or it could be any one of us.
You never know.
Ourselves.
There's really only so many degrees of separation when you're talking about something this local to us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As far as there's probably people we know that knew people that may have perished in this tragedy. But I do want to kind of back away from this specifically and ask you, do you think the United States has a gun problem?
I do. I think that we make guns the problem when it's not. We have a major mental health issue.
I don't think we take enough care of the vets either. Some of them are coming back real fucked up, and they don't get the help that they need.
Very true.
And
Yeah.
I think, if that guy that
this
the
case
fucking Thousand
specifically,
Oaks, if he would have got the proper help that he needed, then he wouldn't be such. And I know a few people that have
It's
going through some issues like that, and they don't get enough help that are
PTSD probably has a large
yes,
Yeah.
is
yeah.
largely responsible for this.
Oh yeah.
The
particular
gun
shooting.
doesn't go off by itself. There was a fucking some psycho behind
Like
it
you were
that's
saying,
doing
mental
that.
health issues. You
Bingo.
know, and,
Yeah.
and what caused these mental health issues? It may have been his involvement in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
you know.
PTSD
Probably so.
is something that I really truly believe messes with something as someone and stays with them for their whole life. You know, we have millions of people in the United States that have guns, and they don't just have one gun. A lot of them have multiple guns, and yet you have all these other countries that have outlawed any kind of gun ownership at all. If the United States had a real gun problem, you would know that we had a real gun problem because you have millions of people with guns, and these things are tragic and they're horrible. But what I would like to see is less restrictions and more personal gun ownership. If we taught, man, woman, child how to actually operate a gun, we've kind of
That's how it used to be back in back in the day, a long time ago. Everybody had a gun, even kids. Everybody
Exactly.
Civil War times. Everybody had their gun. They were protecting them damn selves.
You
from
were
all the
15
crazy
going to
people.
war, and you had to know how to. The approaches that we've taken with my son and my daughter is, instead of trying to protect them from everything and tell them everything's scary and whatnot, is try and train them how to deal with things properly
to defend themselves.
to defend themselves.
Yeah, that's
yes.
smart.
And I think that the media has done a really great job of demonizing weapons and guns.
Oh yeah.
You don't hear very often the people that get saved. I just read another article of someone that saved lives by shooting another shooter. And, what's really frustrating about that as a gun owner is these situations, although they seem like they're becoming more frequent with the mass shootings, it's still so isolated and such a small portion of the population that's going out
the gun
and
owning
shooting.
population.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, and this the thing is he was one of the first ones that I've really caught that he actually had his gun legally. But that
Well,
said,
the magazine he used wasn't.
with that said, and I stick by this tooth and nail, is people aren't going to follow the law if they're not going to follow the law. We have laws
Yeah.
that say don't shoot people. We have laws that say don't kill people. We have laws that say you can't bring guns in certain areas, and you have to respect that. They don't respect that.
Restrictions and all that stuff is just putting a band-aid over the
Yeah.
problem.
I mean, how
It's not
many?
gonna
It's kind of a feel
stop
good.
anything.
Yeah, how many mass
Yeah.
shootings have happened in gun-free
It's
zones?
so easy to be like gun control now. Let's do this, do that, but it's
Yeah.
not gonna.
I mean,
it's a band-aid over the serious,
technically,
or
like
bigger problem.
every public area in California is a gun-free zone.
Mostly, yeah. We actually have the right to. You have the right to walk around unconcealed. It's usually when you want to get like a concealed carry that you have to go through the hoops to get it. A lot of other states are a lot more lenient. California is actually one of the absolute strictest on gun laws. Next to I think New York and I want to say
Illinois.
yeah, probably Illinois and Chicago.
Oh yeah, and there's mass shootings still.
Yeah.
Chicago.
There's
Exact-
a lot of
oh, yeah.
gun violence in Chicago.
Shit.
An
Shitload, way more than
insane
here.
amount of
Which
gun
is,
violence.
I
Yeah.
kind of want before
The
we
highest
move on,
in the country.
not move on, but before we advance this conversation, I did want to point out that I agree with you.
Yeah,
You
me
know,
too.
I think we have a gun problem in this country. The question is, what's the best way to, I guess make the best of a bad situation? And I think that even the statistics bear out your point, where that I think intelligent gun ownership and use is maybe the answer. A few months ago, I looked after one of these. I think it was after the Parkland shooting. I looked up some statistics from gunpolicy.org, and actually, since 1993, as gun ownership has increased in this country, gun homicides have gone down
Considerably.
So that's a pretty, it's not like a end all be all of statistics in this debate, but it's a pretty good one that I don't think a lot of people realize.
It's a strong indicator,
Yeah.
and a way you can look at that is if you're a group of people walking down the street, and I'm someone that's going to try and rob you guys at gunpoint, but I know you guys have a high probability of all being armed. I may not rob you, which
Right.
means
Oh,
you
yeah.
may not get shot.
Right?
If we went to
Yeah.
a society where everyone has a gun, and I know it sounds kind of naive and so forth, but if everyone's trained and knows how to operate a gun in safety and so on and so on, and be responsible owners with it, it's gonna be a lot harder to commit a lot of
yeah,
these
there's
crimes.
there's already so many guns in existence that it has to be that way.
In this
If there was
country, for
like
sure.
if there was like no guns ever and we can just go back and say let's never ever create them, then maybe
Right,
that's
yeah.
another way.
If you
But
told me today
sorry,
that they
it's
could
not
wave
that
a
way.
magic wand and get rid of all the guns.
Then I
fine.
guess maybe
Exactly. Well,
But-
yeah, I mean, all the
it would
guns,
be.
the
I would.
military,
I would miss
government,
like
yeah.
miss maybe shooting at the driving range
so
or
I
the
have
shooting
I
range.
have
I
a
mean,
giant problem with the people mostly from the left calling for more gun control measures because, again, I have an extreme distrust for the government, and that's all
Bingo.
they're doing is giving the government more power to control
Yeah.
us.
Bingo.
yep.
Yep. And they'll use these kinds of situations every single time. And again, it's tragic, and your hearts pour out for all the victims, and you don't even want to talk about it because you don't want to politicize something so recent and so
Yeah.
just vivid and real. And but again, it goes down to the Constitution was designed to protect us from the government, and that goes to all its amendments, the Bill of Rights, and that's the Second Amendment especially. The forefathers just came from fighting a major war against one of the most tyrannical governments of all time, where they were grossly out armored, out weaponized, out manned, out everything, outgunned, and they decided, hey, we're not going to do that again. We're going to let our people have the right to own weapons so they can protect themselves not only on a personal level, one-on-one with other people, but to also protect themselves against the government. The government wants your
Or
guns.
an invasion of some sort.
Or invasion of some sort, yeah. And especially during that time, invasions were something that was a real threat. Other countries trying to come in, especially after they're rebuilding, after, such massive undertaking of the war. But with that said, it was all designed to protect the person, the individual. And that is, I agree with you. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the government to protect me for anything. And
Yeah.
you want me to sit there and wait 20 minutes while someone's breaking into my house
Right.
with whatever intent
Yeah,
until the
fuck
police
no.
get there?
Yeah.
When you
when you were
have a
calling
better
the
shot of
police
taking
to
care of
defend
yourself.
you are a dead person.
Yeah, you were a dead
Exactly.
person. Exactly.
We should have our right to protect ourselves.
and
Exactly.
you,
But
like-
and it goes above the Constitution because every individual born on this planet has the right to defend themselves.
exactly.
Yes.
I agree. And
That should never be taken away from anybody.
and
That's a
especially-
human right.
Exactly. That is
Yeah.
a true human right. You have the right to live, and that should not be infringed.
Yeah.
And by someone's will to end your life.
And unfortunately, we live in a society with guns.
we do.
Yep.
If you could take away guns
For
from
millions
everyone,
of years now, people.
but keep in mind,
Not
is
millions,
even
but-
removing guns would not remove murder. Murder was happening on
Putting a
doesn't even
band-aid on
remove
the
mass
actual
murder.
problem.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Psychoness, yes.
I think it was Australia, which I
Psychopaths.
think has banned all guns. There was a mass stabbing not that long ago. I think where it was like 20
People
people
still
were
have
stabbed.
chemical imbalances.
And,
They
I
have
mean,
PTSD. There's
Which-
all sorts of
There's
stuff.
100 ways to create a bomb that can blow up
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
1,000
can.
people at once.
Someone
yeah.
wants to kill a bunch of people. They're gonna find a way to do it. Oh, here's a massive event. I'm just gonna drive my car into it. You see it all the
Exactly.
time.
A vehicle.
And but we don't ban cars. We don't talk about that stuff. What I think has happened is, and we, especially again living in such a liberal state with California, is we've actually taken and making defending yourself criminal, and that's BS.
Yeah.
If someone breaks in your house, I think you have every right to shoot them, but they have to be broken in your house. Well, why do I have to wait till the guy's in the door? Why do I have to
Right?
wait till the guy's in the
like,
window?
where they're actually
Yeah.
can actually harm you and have a chance of actually doing harm.
If I can catch them before then my belief is if I'm trying to steal something from someone's house or if I'm trying to commit some sort of crime in someone's house, my life has already become forfeit because I've already broken the law and they don't know what I'm about. They don't know that I'm just there to steal murder.
Right.
And so in my mind, my life has already been forfeit. So if I get out with the TV, sweet. But if I don't, then that was my choice to go in that hot person's house. to
You
begin
don't
with.
know what the intention is.
Exactly, and that's the thing is you have no way. I'm not going to sit there and try to have a logistics conversation.
Right?
with
Hey,
you.
are you here for my
trying to do?
TV or are you here to rape me?
Are you the good?
Right?
Are you the good kind of robber or the bad kind? You know,
Right? Like, fuck that.
Yeah, and so I think
I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna fucking shoot you. Like, get out. I'm gonna
No,
shoot
you
you.
just shoot.
you just shoot, yeah. And you know what's really sad, and this is something I was
Aim
thinking
for the
about recently.
balls. Just kidding.
I know, right?
I'm just kidding.
Outside of California, I think you would have a much easier time proving self-defense. California is kind of really, in my opinion, from some of the things I've read and stories I've read, that they've really kind of pushed the boundaries of really putting blame on the victim in this regard. And one of the things that that really bugs me is that in California, you're almost at a point where you have to shoot to kill someone because it's your word versus their in court law.
Right? Yeah,
really
you have to
don't
almost
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your life's on the line.
Exactly. You don't really
Some
know
bullshit.
what the courts are going to side with.
Yep.
And that's really sad. If someone broke into my house, if I'm on the jury and they're saying, "Oh yeah, this dude broke in your house and I shot him,"
End
but
of
he lived.
story.
End of
That's
story.
it.
There's throw
Yes.
this case out. This
Yep.
is ridiculous.
They
You
should
should
not
be.
even be in court.
Yeah. But in California, you really don't know. And what's sad is there are situations, especially depending on what kind of gun and what kind of marksman you are, you could shoot someone to disable them long enough to get help so they can stop bleeding or whatever.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
they can be rescued but still face consequences.
So
Yeah, shoot 'em like in the
do have
knees
to
or
point out,
something.
though, that the number one rule when you're in gun training is that you don't pull the trigger unless you intend on killing that
True.
person.
And that cannot
I
be
don't know
stressed
about
enough.
that.
No,
That is
he's
a
right.
fact.
Because the truth is, I didn't really get to see this until I started shooting handguns. Rifles are one thing. They're, for whatever reason, they seem more accurate and a lot easier. Handguns are really kind of hard to shoot. I've tried to shoot
They are.
targets at like
They're hard.
20 feet.
I suck at shooting
Yeah.
a handgun.
The best
Yeah.
weapon for home defense is a shotgun.
Oh, shotgun, because you're going to blow everything out of the water. It sucks for anything that's in that general direction,
Yeah,
but
you're gonna destroy your house.
you're
You're
gonna
gonna defend it. as
you're
well.
gonna-
That's the one I
Yeah.
need. That's the one I need because it'd be easier for me.
But that said, that's a good point. You shoot to kill because you're not 100%. And even some of the best shooters in that situation where you have adrenaline pumping, it's probably dark in your house.
Yes.
You're not guaranteeing that you're going to shoot that guy in the shoulder. You might clip his neck, hit the arteries. You're going to take him out, especially on 22 caliber, which kills more people than I think any other round. Is you're going to do damage to that person. And even if you shoot him in the leg, it's not like the movies where they get shot 15 times and they're still running down.
Oh
the
no,
street.
yeah, one bullet I think
bullet's
is going to be enough to.
Yeah, you can bleed out very quickly
Yeah.
and easily. So you shoot with the intent to kill, absolutely.
Oh.
But that said, if I'm given the option, if I didn't live in California and I felt like I could try and shoot you in the shoulder to stop you, but at least give you enough medical attention till first responders got there
Yeah.
to actually see justice versus just killing that person,
Yeah.
I would much rather go that route. Now, I'm not advocating
Sure.
that for everyone because, again,
Right.
if my wife's home, I'm not telling her, hey, try and clip the guy in the shoulder if you ever get a break. And
No, yeah,
Say
just
it's
shoot the
done,
motherfucker
done.
like.
yeah, set the stun. Just throw rocks at him. Really, it'd be
I know,
fine.
right?
I'm telling her, you shoot and you keep shooting until someone stops moving.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of a sad situation, in especially where we live. Is you don't know. You shoot that person, they live. You might be facing some sort of charges
Yeah.
of some sort. They
Sure.
might be coming after you or suing you. And it's,
Oh, it's definitely going to go to some sort of trial.
exactly. And it's
For
ridiculous. So,
no reason.
so you're kind of left at that option of, if I got to pull this trigger, I might as well just end this guy's life when it may not have had to come to that. And that's what these stupid laws and this idea of trying to lessen, I think, some of the crimes are putting that pressure and that responsibility back on home ownership and gun ownership. Because, I mean, right now, if it was in the news that someone broke in your house and you got shot, you're demonized immediately. You're the most
Yeah.
horrible person on earth. And I don't understand that. Not all states I don't think are like that, but I do see some of the states being more towards that, and it's kind of frustrating from a homeowner's perspective.
Oh yeah, totally.
Home defense aside, I think as far as quelling the mass shooting
Mm-hmm.
problem we have in this country, I think more gun ownership and public gun possession
I agree.
is a little bit more important towards making that situation better.
Well,
I agree.
you think about it. That bar, the recent shooting, okay, the bar, restaurant, pool hall, it's only so big. There's 200 people there. You figure if there is somebody in there with a gun and a couple people in there have guns, half the people in there, that guy probably would have got disabled. If the guy at the door had a gun, that guy probably would have been
the most
disabled. I mean, for
important
crying
thing
out
is
loud.
just living in a society
Would've
where
saved
you
more lives, I
expect
think.
the majority of citizens to be armed. Like, then in that type of society, you would get almost zero mass shootings.
Exactly.
You would,
Yes,
people that
I
want to
agree.
kill a lot of people would be using bombs and vehicles.
Right? Just
True.
because guns are, we can just
Which should
walk
be a
around with
lot
them.
more
Are me and you going to
difficult.
go out and commit mass shootings? No, we're not.
No,
So-
absolutely, and that goes back to what I was saying. We have millions of people that have guns.
Yeah.
Mass shootings aren't an everyday occurrence. I mean,
Right.
even then, it's one or two people. It's not. I mean, they're killing multiple people, but it's not. If America had a gun ownership problem, you would know about. There's too many people with guns. There would be people dying every second. Hundreds of people dying every second because people were irresponsible, and that's just not the case. And going back to what you were saying about if everyone had a gun, you have to really sit back and go, okay, am I going to actually achieve something if I pull out a gun? Before I can shoot 2 or 3 rounds, someone's already going to have a bullet in my neck.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to how we run society in general. I mean, if you think about it, we don't have enough police officers to even manage a city, let alone the state yet.
Exactly.
We have
You
laws-
can't rely on these people that are overworked in their cities. There's like one cop for the city of Wildomar.
Yeah.
He's going to be extremely busy if some shit's going down here. It's,
But what's
yeah.
interesting about that is we still have a law and order here, and that's because we think the police are everywhere and that they could potentially be at your house in a moment's notice. So we
That's
have
true.
that law and
Yeah.
order. It's the same concept of a gun. If you have a gun, I'm not going to try and target someone that has a gun.
Yep.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
and you know, really what this needs to come down to is it doesn't really matter if what they say the motivation was. Every single person, I believe, in these mass shootings, especially because they're so indiscriminatory, like they're just trying to kill and do as much damage. It all comes back down to probably mental illness, and
I think so.
That's where we need to start
saying
putting
that
the blame.
forever.
It's not guns, it's not gun ownership, it's not the responsible people, it's mental illness.
And think about all the people, and that
Yeah.
goes with all the people. Remember all the people committing suicide too. Like you hear about that all
Oh, yeah.
the time.
And PTSD specifically.
yes,
Specifically,
If we're not
yeah.
it
trying to
all
fix
goes
people's
hand in
brains,
hand.
then we might as well be trying to innovate bulletproof skin. Because
Yeah.
those are the only two options.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And-
There's Yep. There's gonna always be a way to get a gun. There's no.
Bingo.
If you want to kill somebody with a gun, you're going to be able to, and that's never
Before-
going to change. So.
Before we wrap this up, I just want to get one last point in that
Hmm.
I've said on Twitter before. But as grand as this country's military is,
Mm-hmm.
our greatest line of defense is that we are a country in arms.
Yes.
And that we have not been
Bingo.
invaded in the past because
That's true,
There's
yeah.
the Japanese a Japanese leader once said in World War II that invading the United States would be a suicide mission because there would be a gun behind every tree.
Yep.
And it's true.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yeah,
And, you know, again,
we are an armed nation.
they talk about terrorist cells, you know, hitting these different communities in the United States. And honestly, it's like, okay, well, California, I could see that. But you go places like Texas and stuff, if it's just gun versus gun, it's not going to be a long time before the citizens win that battle because most of those people out
Oh,
there
yeah.
are armed and they know how to shoot.
Oh yeah,
It is
And
also
you
a
will
tactical
pry
defense
that
of
gun out of their
guns.
cold dead hands over people in Texas. Let me
Bingo.
tell you what.
It's exactly, and it's totally true. I mean, you don't have to just fight the American military. You have to fight the American people.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you
And
come here,
These pro-gun control people, they often cite like, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to take on the American military with your guns? And that's impossible because they have tanks and nukes. And it's like militias have been taking on the American military impressively almost the entire time the American military has existed.
Yep.
I mean, you look at Vietnam and even most recently Afghanistan. You look at the heavily armed Israeli army that was fought off by Hezbollah. Like militias, when fought in their
can.
when the home field advantage is a thing in war.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you fight
Absolutely.
on somebody else's turf, the rules don't apply, and a lot of your technology goes out the window.
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
Everything you thought you know, gone.
because you think about it, if you're the United States military and you're trying to turn on your people, you're not going to probably nuke the United States because then you're not going to
Absolutely
have a
not, yeah.
United States left. And so you're going to start going smaller weapons. Well, again, you're doing mass destruction. What are you going to have left when you kill all these people? So you
And
kind of
how much army do you have left when you're turning on your own citizens?
exactly. That's
Yeah.
the other side. I mean, most military isn't going to turn on its people.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're talking like, I mean, you have probably like Stalin type situations, but even then, it probably wasn't their whole military. Even during World War II, you know, you had the Nazi Party,
Yeah.
but that wasn't every German military personnel. You know, that was against. You know,
And with Stalin, a lot of that oppression came on other people's countries.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
it was advancing Russian armies, occupying other territories, and that's when the oppression started because you had a Russian military that was able to go into places like, you know, Poland and dominate those people because they've been largely dominated that entire time. You know, whether it was Russian or German, you know. You're not necessarily turning on your own citizens.
Yeah.
In that instance.
And so yeah, this idea that the government they would just win, so just turn in your guns anyways it's
ridiculous.
It is. It's such a stupid argument.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's been instances recently where armed militias have defeated the U.S. government. Like when you look at the Bundy Ranch stuff.
And you know, it's funny too. It's got to be a first world issue when we bring up a lot of this stuff because it's always like we gotta try and take away rights from people here. And then you have, I think it was Venezuela that just voted in their new president or whatever, and he's like, I want to put a gun in every person's hand. Like,
Was that Brazil
or was it Brazil? It might have been
It was
Brazil.
Brazil.
And he's just like, we want, you know, give these people guns because you don't trust your government. This idea that the government's your friend is beyond me. When have they ever proven to be friendly in anything?
It's
Goes
just the
back to
people
the
that
DUI conversation.
Yeah.
People
talking
talking to police.
Stop talking. The government's not your friend. The police, they're there to
Yeah.
do their job, which is to
I
investigate
think it's
you,
really
so
easy
stop
for a lot of
talking.
people to just, you know, believe, you know, what the government says because it's so easy to. Like, it's just so easy to go along with it or.
There's a lot of indoctrination.
True story. That's why
Yeah.
we're talking right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think a lot of people are just
Which goes
on
back to schools.
autopilot
Yep.
in life.
Public
They're on
schools.
autopilot
I think we've come
and they're
full circle
brainwashed.
here.
I think we have. I think we're seeing the fruits of the labor of whatever it is, whatever, you know, dark government you want to say it is, because I don't know.
However deep you believe that runs, I mean, it's dark.
It is, and this idea that
It's the devil.
I believe I follow Christian eschatology, so I believe in end times. But
If the devil manifests himself in this world, it will be in the form of a government.
yes,
as a
see,
matter of
I'm
fact.
telling you.
It's funny you say that. Yeah, and
See?
in the end times in the Bible, it is he forms a government and he's able to bring a temporary peace between Israel and basically the Middle East.
Basically, that's what's happening.
That's
right
a politician.
Now, so we're all
He's
fucked.
basically a very well polished politician.
Yeah.
But with the deep state stuff, you know, the deep state stuff was really interesting because before Trump, it was kind of like, okay, some of those things seemed like really crackpot conspiracy theories. Oh yeah, my TV's listening to me, da da da. And then it started coming out that no, that's true. We know that
No, yeah,
they're
these smart
listening.
TVs.
Yeah,
I
your
think like my
phone,
Roomba might be like scanning my whole house, and now they know every inch of my house because
It's-
of my Roomba. No, I'm just
Roomba's
kidding.
just there to collect data.
Yeah, that's all the
it's
Roomba's doing.
As you sweeping things, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
good. This
Right?
is real good."
That's a new book.
Huh?
Yeah.
I wonder what they're
Dirt
reading.
and data.
Sending all this information. Yeah, you know, and then the stuff with them wiretapping Trump and them trying to rig his election and do all this, and the way they rigged the Democratic election against Bernie Sanders. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Goes
know,
to
man.
show that they'll
It's
do
deep.
anything.
It's
It
very
really
deep.
does.
They knew exactly who they thought was going to become president and who they wanted to become president, and that was Hillary Clinton. And I don't know. The media we all knew about. I don't think anyone ever was really, you know, shocked by see how bad the media was. But the deep state stuff, that was definitely something that was eye opening to me. Because again, I think for a lot of people, like the Alex Jones of the world, and they, it's like, okay, he's just conspiracy theorist, he's just crackpot, and some of his things that he says is pretty out there. But it starts to give a little bit of credibility when,
Yeah.
iTunes and YouTube and all these other platinum forums get together and drop them on the same day.
Oh yeah,
That's very strange to
exactly.
me.
That's when you makes you really
They're
open your
under
eyes
government
and
control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
we're like the people of North Korea with just a lot more freedom.
depends on how
Maybe
you
not
look
exactly.
at freedom. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of let's
There's
see.
maybe an equal amount of oppression.
There might
We
be
just
an
have more
equal amount of
things,
oppression.
Yeah, we just have more things, and like we're more, sidetracked, and we don't have
Give
to
us
like.
more distractions.
Very.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
this
the
is
word.
shiny. Stay
Yeah.
focused on this.
Exactly. That's how I think. Like I think that I don't know. I feel like that.
We're maybe not as easily distracted, but we definitely have more distractions.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you're not hungry and you're not cold, you tend to start having time for things that
Sure.
can distract
And
you.
why not?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Ryan,
Living
I
life.
want to keep going, but we're at 55 minutes here, and we did a nearly 45 minute segment before. That, I wanted to get into fantasy football with you, and there are a few other topics I wanted to cover, which basically means we got to get you on again soon.
hey, I'm all for it.
So,
Yeah.
but I got to wrap it up now.
Well,
And
thank you
then,
for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Zibida. That was it. That was the episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Oh man, was this on the whole time? Cause
No, I just turned it on.
very good.
In fact, you weren't even heard on that whole episode. I had your mic off the whole time.
Well, no, I just didn't want anybody to hear the last thing I had just said before I started talking. So
You did drop a few N-bombs.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
That's not what I'm talking
that's
about.
right.
You
Yeah,
don't know what I'm talking
didn't.
about.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a great episode.
You did drop a few N-bombs, a few hard R's.
No, I did
It's all
not.
good, though.
What's a hard R? What are these words?
Or re.
Rrrr.
Re or
I did go rrrr a few times, I think.
Those are hard R's, Natalie.
Yeah.
You don't want to drop,
Rrrr.
drop a hard R on somebody, you're liable to get knocked out.
Hey, you, mister. Rrrr.
Re.
Ree. That sounds like just happy summer day. Hey, you.
What if I
Ree.
put a tard on the end of it?
Oh.
It's pretty hard.
Well, some people are.
Some people are.
Some people are.
Some people are re.
Ree. R. Okay.
Oh shit, that might be gold right there. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I do know is what we just listened to was fucking amazing.
It was very opinionated, but that's just.
It was even partisan somewhat. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that could definitely be considered like a conservative, Republican, right-wing podcast.
Yeah,
And, you know,
I
that's-
suppose.
Yeah, it pains me to hear it almost, but unfortunately, on those issues, that's where I stand. You know?
Yeah.
I think I put myself out there quite a bit on this one.
Yeah. Well, now we're out naked in the storm.
Oh, I'm totally naked.
Yeah, me too. I'm naked and we're naked and afraid now. Is that even a
Oh,
show
I'm
on
not
TV?
afraid, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
am
no, I'm not
naked.
afraid either. Fuck that. But we definitely are naked now, so.
But yeah, there was a lot of opinions put out there. I love that show. I love that. That was our best episode so far.
Yeah, I would say so.
This one's gonna be the one heard around the world, I think.
Yeah, and there's also going to be other topics. Like, we're going to get in deep on lots of other things in the future to come. So
Yeah.
you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it.
Yeah, we're just touching the surface here.
Just barely skimming across it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we just dipped our pinky toe
But
into
we're
it.
drilling. We're going deep.
Yeah.
If you've got some other opinions and you totally disagree with us, fucking
yeah, let
there
us
is
know.
an outlet for you.
We
and you
love
know
to debate
damn
with
well what
people.
it is. Hit us up on Twitter
Yeah. Well,
or
yeah.
Instagram.
Or email us
And
or.
if you're long-winded, send us a fucking email
Yeah.
at undoctrinated1,
That's the Twitter handle.
undoctrinatedpodcast@gmail.com.
An Undoctrinated Podcast on Instagram. And thank you for all the love on Instagram that we've been getting and all the new followers and on Twitter too. We thank all of you guys so much.
Cheers.
And so, yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed that. Good morning or good night, wherever you are.
Ziggy played guitar, jamming good with Weird and Gilly and the Spiders from Mars. He played it left hand, but made it too far. Became the special man, then we were Ziggy's band. Ziggy really sang, screwed up eyes and screwed down hairdo, like some cat from Japan. He could lick 'em by smiling, he could leave 'em to hang. They came on so loaded, man, well hung in snow white tan. So where were the spiders while the fly tried to break our bones? But just the beer like to guide us. So we bitched about his fans and should we crush his sweet hands. Ziggy played for time, jiving us that we were voodoo. The kids were just crass. He was the Nas with God-given ass. He took it all too far, but boy, could he play guitar. Making love with his ego. Ziggy sucked up into his mind, like a clever messiah. When the kids had killed a man, I had to break up the band. Oh yeah. Ziggy played guitar.